Hi there, my name's Steve Sutcliffe and welcome to another comparison test with Tyre Seeker. So in this test we've got 5 premium touring tyres from all the premium brands, and we're at Myra on a typical UK day. We've got a wet handling track and a dry handling track and all sorts of other tests to do. So here's a little bit more about the tyres themselves.
So from Bridgestone, we're testing the Turanza T6. From Continental, we've got the Premium Contact 7. From Goodyear, we have the EfficientGrip 2. From Michelin, we've got the Primacy 4 Plus. And from Pirelli, we're testing the Cinturato P7 C2. As usual, we sourced all our tyres from an independent retailer to ensure total neutrality. And we're testing each tyre in the wet and dry, not just for handling, braking and cornering, but also for noise, comfort and refinement, and for everyday usability in UK conditions. Our test car is a BMW 118, which runs on a 225/45/17 all round. And for all our tests, the ambient temperature was typical for a UK spring-summer, so ranging between 15 and 19 degrees C. Right then, wet track first, let's get cracking. So first up is the Bridgestone. It's just a really nice, predictable, friendly, very grippy tyre on a soaking wet road. Really nice responses, really safe, predictable tyre, but actually with a lot of ultimate grip. Makes this 1 Series feel super secure under brakes. You can actually be quite bold with your braking distances on the Turanza 6, just because it fills you with confidence. It's everything you want from a wet tyre. But you put the Michelin on after the Bridgestone and you think, my goodness me, where's all the grip gone on this wet handling track? Mid-corner, there is not as much grip. So steady state cornering, you literally cannot go around corners just as fast with the Michelin on as you can with the Bridgestone on. Basically, the grip is not there mid-corner, or under brakes on the way into those corners, or on traction on the way out of them. So ultimately, you just have to drive slower with the Michelin fitting compared with the Bridgestone. All 4 of the other tyres feel remarkably similar around this wet handling track. There are nuances that define the Pirelli, gives you a little bit more bite and a little bit more grip everywhere, but the Continental is really good too. I think probably if it was my money, on a wet road, I'd want the Continental fitted because it's just rock solid, the Continental. So is the Bridgestone. The Goodyear is very similar in character to the Bridgestone, but hasn't got just as much grip mid-corner. You can't brake just as late with the Goodyear fitted compared with the Bridgestone or the others, except the Michelin. It's a very good tyre, the Goodyear. It's a really good all-rounder, despite being quite old in design. It's just an excellent tyre. The Conti, and I think the Conti is just a touch above the Bridgestone nowadays, but the big shocker on this wet track is how good the Michelin isn't, I'm afraid. The other 4 I would recommend wholeheartedly. The Michelin, I'm not so sure. So before we find out if the Michelin fares a bit better on our dry track, here's some important information about our sponsors at etyres.co.uk.
So our sponsors at eTyres are basically great, and that's not just because they give us the money to make these videos and have fun at test tracks and decide which tyres are good and which tyres are not good. They're great because they sell tyres at the best prices that you will find anywhere on the internet. And they don't care, there's no bias, they don't care who wins or loses or doesn't do very well in our group tests, because they sell all the tyres in all our tests. You get the best prices that you will find for any tyres anywhere on the internet, pretty much guaranteed. So check them out, etyres.co.uk. Right, back to the tyre testing.
Dry track next then, and the big question is, can the Michelin make up for its poor performance in the wet?
I have to say, all these premium touring tyres are pretty damn good around this track. The Michelin is excellent for just bite and feel, and hangs on really nicely in the high-speed corners. It's got great feel under brakes, makes the steering of this 1 Series feel nice and kind of snappy and immediate. But then you try the Continental, and if anything, I think it feels even better on the Continental than it does on the Michelin. feels almost like a ultra high performance tyre, the Continental and the Michelin. But then, you know, the Goodyear, great grip, good steering feel, good balance everywhere. And then you get to the Pirelli, and then the Pirelli's almost better than the lot. The Pirelli really is a nice, feelsome tyre. You can feel everything that's going on at all four corners, whether it's through the steering, through the brakes. Okay, the Bridgestone. Know all about the Bridgestone Turanza T6, and it is a absolutely cracking touring tyre. It's great in the wet, it's really good in the dry. But I think it might just be edged in this case by the Continental, not by the Michelin, because the Michelin is just nowhere near good enough in the wet, but by the Pirelli as well. So the Goodyear is kind of a great all-rounder. The Bridgestone is a great all-rounder. I put the Bridgestone and the Goodyear in the same camp, but the Bridgestone just, I think, a touch above the Goodyear. The Pirelli and the Continental are just absolutely excellent. The Michelin's just an odd tyre overall. I mean, it's very good in the dry, but it's just not good enough in the wet.
We also rated each tyre out of 100 for braking in the wet and dry, and for noise and ride comfort. The Michelin was extremely strong in all the dry tests, but not so great in the wet. The Goodyear and Bridgestone performed well everywhere, wet or dry, while the Pirelli and Continental were the star performers overall. And in the more focused high-speed handling tests, the Michelin once again struggled to compete in the wet, but was as secure as it was fast in the dry, with the Bridgestone and Goodyear performing strongly, and the Continental and Pirelli once again battling it out for the top slots. It's good to note that all our premium tyres performed just as well here as they did in hotter, more Mediterranean conditions last year. The Pirelli's performance actually improving a touch relative to the Bridgestone, a crucial factor when buying tyres to drive on in the UK. Conclusion: even in more changeable UK conditions, the Continental PremiumContact 7 remains a terrific all-round touring tyre. It has tons of feel and speed, and is just as impressive in the dry as it is secure in the wet. It really is a superb tyre. As is the Pirelli, which comes a very close second thanks to brilliant wet road performance and a fine set of results in the dry. In cooler UK conditions, it works even better than it does at 25 degrees plus, relative to the other premium touring tyres. The Bridgestone and Goodyear are also excellent all-rounders, with no weak areas between them. The Bridgestone just beating the Goodyear for its fractionally better wet road performance. The Michelin, on the other hand, is a great tyre in the dry, but it doesn't provide enough feel or basic performance in the wet for us, neither in hot nor milder conditions. So although it's still a tyre we'd recommend, it doesn't get an unqualified thumb up from us at Tyre Seeker.
Cheers for watching. Remember to subscribe if you like this video, and see you next time.